Sorry, I don't know why, but it stopped working for a second there. I don't know why, but it just stopped working a few seconds ago. But you were talking about the filaments and how the holes have to be changed every once in a while.
Yeah.
Could you start back right there?
Yeah. The idea is to put some material, soapy soap material, surface active material, into the spin bath, and then thereby perhaps be able to make this life of the jet longer, and not have to have interruptions to shut the machine down. So it's definitely process improvement. So we took small amounts of surface actives and materials and down around hundredths of a percent in the baths. That had to be in acid baths. It couldn't be. It had to be soluble with sulfuric acid. And to measure this sulfur surface activity, they had what they call the Denoy tensiometer. It's laboratory equipment. It's a little circular metal material that you put on a balance, and so you can adjust it and measure the actual. Put it against the material, the liquid that you're taking, set it down on the material, and get a measurement of the resistance to the removing it from the surface. That makes it surface active. That was devised by some Frenchman, but it came in very handy to us, and I was his helper, and I got to use that. And we tested a lot of materials and found some that are very good to it, and that was very successful. But Bill Coster, who was the one who interviewed me, happened to be a Methodist, and he happened to be a good singer. And he took a real liking to me. At any rate, in about 6 years, the company was developing another fiber, and it was it was a chemical fiber, an acrylic fiber, and they had it to a point where they were making it in the laboratory. We got involved with that, and they used some of my engineering experience because they had to run this on big scale equipment, and we used some of the old equipment that they had in their plant to run a pilot plant. They also found out that another company, though the solvent they used to make the material to spin is a chemical that they developed. It's dimethylacetylide, and it was a synthetic material that was made out of acetic acid and anyway, it made out, and they found out that Monsanto company, chemical company, they were the chemical company, and we're a fiber company. It makes a good combination. They were also working on an idea of making another fiber, wanting to do a fiber plant. So combined to make a combined company. And it so happens that the president of the company was going to be Coster, who's a friend of mine, thank God for that. And we developed, combined with that company, we started a small operation of making some of the fiber in our plant, in our laboratory, and then later making it on a larger scale in Marcus Hook there. At any rate, the fiber was made, and we were able to check it out, and we're going to make a plant. There was always a tension between companies wanting to get your company ahead of the other company, you know, and so on and forth. We would get the nice positions. Fortunately, Koster got to be plant manager of the new company, and he had to decide what people he wanted from American Viscose to go to the south to start this new plant. I was fortunate enough to get approved. By this time, I'd been having some good training with chemical equipment that was involved, and we had people also from Monsanto. At any rate, they decided the engineering department decided that Decatur, Alabama was a good place to have a plant. And so who were going to be in the plant were given a chance to go down to Decatur and see whether we liked it or not, and see how it was. The unusual part about this was the population of Philadelphia at that time was 3 million people. The population of Alabama was 3 million people. So there was a lot of difference in place, and you know, in Philadelphia by now, television was a common thing. People had it. It was just coming into being in Decatur. So we didn't take our kids down to, but Betty and I came down to Alabama, and on the train, air flight was not really that safe. I was not going to take any chances on air flight with children. By then we had 3, and we came down by the train. It was a nice trip. We did make the mistake of getting a milk train from Chattanooga out to Decatur, and that stopped every place along the way. And we stayed in the hotel in Decatur. It was right on the railroads, and so all night long there's trains going by. Didn't do much sleeping. But Decatur was very impressive to us. We liked the idea. It had many more churches than some of the places in the north, especially Protestant churches. And it turns out that Koster was a Methodist, and that was my line of religion and Betty's. And when we came to Decatur, Koster went to the First Methodist Church, and it was the first one he brought along anybody that wanted to come. He didn't have any say about who went to what church. But he was a bass singer too, and he was very, very friendly. The startup operation, it took much. We were one of the first departments to start up. We were in the solvent department, had the manufacture of solvent and the reclaiming of solvent from the operations. It's reused. We had distillation columns that were like they have a refinery, 3 or 4 stories high, big, and it was quite an operation to do that. it was very corrosive. It's an ordinary steel, ordinary iron, and so we had to be very careful with the material of that we're using for the tanks to be made out of, and all the pipes and so on. So we were always checking to see in the laboratory how corrosive it would be with different types of steel, stainless steel. But we had to make the solvent because you couldn't make to run the plant until you had a quantity of solvent. I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, that's all right.
Let's see now. While we're in Decatur, we added 2 more children to our family, and it was just a wonderful time. Betty loved Decatur, and we loved the church we were in. And at first they were a little skeptical of us Yankees coming into town, but most of them were very nice. And Betty remembers hearing some of the ladies say, "I think someday we're going to like these Yankees." But Betty liked to square dance, and we danced. We did other types of dancing. She liked to play bridge too, so we got out and did that some. But Madeline was getting to be quite a young lady, and we were really enjoying our family. And John and Betty Ann were added to they were the last 2 who were born in Decatur. After the war was over, I stayed in the reserve to keep my name on it, keep me in. I felt I had much trouble getting the commission. I'm going to be paid money too. See, and we were getting pretty good money, but it wasn't. With 5 children, we were definitely just thinking in terms of sending them to college. I decided to stay in the reserve, and this came to be very fruitful because there was a unit in Birmingham that ran maneuvers for the regular army that was made up of reserve officers, and it was one of the most big units in the army in the reserve. And so I was fortunate enough to get into that, and it had a slot in it for a chemical officer at the top, and it had a full I'm trying to say, the officer. At any rate, it was a good pay, and it had promotions available to go up if you qualified. Now, to qualify for this job, you had to be trained in nuclear stuff, and that was a wide open space for me. I just didn't have much information on that. The company that we were with gave us free time to go into the reserve whenever they wanted us to go, and with full pay from the company, which was very nice, very, very attractive. And the reserve unit also gave, in my particular need of nuclear, which was to take courses in that, correspondence courses, and do it on government time, over there on weekends and on summer camp, go to it and get complete information. I got to know everything was being known about nuclear weapons. Then to do this, I had to be cleared for top secret. And this took a month and a half to get that thing done, to get it go through But at any rate, that was very interesting work, and it was mind-boggling to see what could be done with nuclear weapons. And you realize, and a lot of people didn't know it, but we had the capability of destroying the world with the nukes that we had. I mean, the civilized world. And after the war was over, we got rid of a lot of those. Thank God for that. But it showed the world what could be done with the Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and that just eye-opener to everybody, and it was awful to behold. But I had the opportunity and a wonderful occasion to be able to do that, and it paid off nicely in the high ranking, because we had in our unit in Birmingham we had 3 generals, and we have about 7 colonels. I happened to be one of the colonels that ended up, and that was a very nice pay. When we go on duty, we got paid double what the regular people got when we were on duty. So it paid off pretty nicely, and it allowed us to do a lot. And when the children were raised, we were able to send them to college, or partially at least. And I know with Dan, he had some Army experience, and in the what war do you call it? One of these wars that was never announced.
It was the Korean War,
yeah,
right?
Korean War. That's what I'm trying to think of. Korean War. He was in it, and he was, and he did some reserve work too. And did he in fact, it came to going to graduate school. He paid for it for the GI Bill of their rights, and it was wonderful. The interesting thing of that is in all the correspondence work that we did and so on was done on not the secret stuff, because you could use this on regular mail and use the booklets that are similar but not the same as the secret ones. And when we finally got around to getting our top secret, our top secret information in some of these camps, you'd go into the classroom with no writing material and no booklets at all. Whatever you got was in your head, and it was quite impressive. And it was astounding to see how much money we spent on this to do this. And Einstein was the beginning of the whole thing. But Betty was just wonderful to take care of the children, and we had many camping vacations, and we were able to buy the cabin on the river. We knew it was in bad shape. In fact, it was eaten out with termites. And we paid $7,000 for this cabin. In the first Pelham church, it was his neighbor. He knew about it being available. He told me about it. And we got it, and it had room on it to build another cabin. So we were able to get that cabin, and I borrowed money to do it, we uh, sure enough, it was bad, but we decided we were going to build a new one on the same grounds, and we were going to do it ourselves. We had large family, we had people we could, and so we worked in our vacation time in the summer to build a house, and it was an outfit in Minneapolis that sold it, and they sold you the whole bill of how to make this house and how to put it in booklets on telling you how to put it together, and shipped it, the shipments in two 18-wheeler trucks. One shipment is the basement, or not the basement, the foundation and the basic elements of it. And then the second shipment is the top part framed and all that. And then the booklets tell you what to do. In addition, you got toll-free calls to Minneapolis when you run into a problem. They call you.
Not a bad deal.
Huh?
Not a bad deal.
No, pretty good deal.
What year was that you bought the cabin?
That's a good question.
Or about when was it?
Around 62.
Okay. And did you want to build the new one right away? Or when was that you decided to, when you built the new cabin?
We couldn't use the old one very much. We did use it for a while, but it was pretty bad shape. It wasn't very healthy situation. It was 3 or 4 years, I would guess. We were borrowing money to do it, some of it, and I had some good friends at the plant that were electricians, for example, to help me do that, and at any rate, we finally got it done. And it was a very nice land location. You saw what it's like to have this little creek come in beside the cabin, so that when the kids are little, you can play around in that creek and have fun. We had a lot of, when the children were in school, and Betty took a job with NASA. She was with 15 years with NASA, in the purchasing department. She loved it too. They were all ladies in that, and they were just like a sorority almost. But they had she liked that job, and I was in the reserve for 30 years, and when 1975 is when I retired, and she could have stayed on with NASA a couple of more years and gotten some extra money for retirement, but we were anxious to start traveling, and so we started thinking about that. After the kids got situated good, and our kids we were just proud of them. John was the youngest, and he was a great baseball player. He was one of the best fielders and hitters that the high school had. And Betty Ann was the next oldest, and she was the artist of the family. In high school, she wanted to be the one to make the paper mache floats for homecoming, and to design them and all that. And she was always the one that wanted to make the Christmas presents. She wanted to make them. She wanted to do them for the whole family. She was creative as they could be. Charlie was the next one, and he was a mechanical engineer, and he was able to do things. Oh, and musically, John didn't have much desire for any music, and Betty Ann tootled on the flute slightly, but then gave it up. And Charlie played the trumpet, and he did pretty well on the trumpet for a while, played in the high school band. Then we had Dan, and Dan was when he was this high, had a little black case, and he said, "I'm going to be a doctor." And there's no kidding about it. And he sure turned out to be a PhD. And Dan was the swimmer. He played, he did a lot of this high school swimming, not only with the high school, some swimming teams he was on. And Madam was also, my oldest one, she was the brightest one as far as getting a high degree of high marks. She had a scholarship to Birmingham Southern Methodist School in Birmingham, and she was on the swim team down there. And just a great kid. And nobody can give enough credit to Betty. She is a one of a worker. She was. She just was fantastic. She did. She went to summer camps with me. And came up at the weekend. See, summer camp was 2 weeks long, and they said we could be together on this Saturday and Sunday of the common time, and the family were with us. We ran maneuvers for airborne divisions, and so we were at one time we were up at the Tennessee, and they came up to see me up there. But you know, it's one of the funniest things that ever happened. Betty took a bunch of kids up to a rock concert in Athens, Alabama, north of Decatur, in high school, and we had our station wagon then. The car was full of kids. And then she came out of that thing, they got in the car and got on, of course, driving along for a couple hours, and somebody said, "We ought to be getting into Alabama." And about that time, they came to a sign and said, "Welcome to Tennessee." She never left that down. That rock concert. But I was very thankful for Bill Coster. He saved me and made me realize what opportunity I had, and helped me in many ways. And other friends along the way. And the good Lord, that is for sure. And church is important. But by golly, it's getting to be nearly 4 o'clock.
It is. We're getting there.
Uh,
We're running out of time on the
Can
card
you think
again.
anything else I should, that I need to say, or what you'd like me to say?
Well, how about this? I'll put this on the computer again, and then maybe ask you a few questions, and we'll maybe do 10 minutes more. I'll ask you a few questions, and we'll give you a chance. If there's anything else that
That'd be
you
great.
think of that you want to say, you can say it, and then in about those 10 minutes we'll wrap it up.
I'm sorry that it's chopped up.
No, you've got a lot to tell. That's no
Well, I
surprise.
think I'm not feeling up to snuff either right now with this darn medicine I'm taking. And I'll be through with that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Well, it's,
You sound great.
Well, thank you so much, Jim. Oh, you are a remarkable boy. You're a just fantastic son to have, Marlon. And
Thank you.
yes, sir. That's wonderful.